The crystal walls of the space palace on planet Lumia sparkled like diamonds as Daniel Stone walked through the long hallways. He was a tough soldier from Earth, wearing his special battle armor that glowed softly with blue lights. The armor made quiet humming sounds as he moved, showing he was ready for anything. Daniel had just finished a dangerous mission for the royal family of Lumia. He had fought space pirates and saved important supplies from being stolen. Now, the alien king wanted to meet him personally. This was a huge honor that most humans never received. The giant doors to the throne room opened without making any sound. Inside, the room was so beautiful it took Daniel's breath away. Floating lights danced in the air like fireflies, and the walls were covered in precious stones that changed colors. King Thalion sat on his magnificent throne, looking like a powerful ruler should. He was tall and strong, with silver skin that seemed to glow from the inside. His purple eyes were sharp and intelligent, missing nothing. He wore a dark gray robe with gold designs that told stories of his kingdom's history. But it was the princess sitting beside him who truly caught Daniel's attention. Princess Ariana was the most beautiful being Daniel had ever seen, even though she was different from others. Her long white hair flowed around her shoulders like moonlight on water. Her skin was the same silver color as her father's, but softer and more delicate. Even though she couldn't see, her large purple eyes seemed to look right into Daniel's heart. She wore a white dress that sparkled with tiny gems, making her look like a fallen star. Her special floating chair was made of the same crystal as the palace walls. It held her gently because her legs couldn't move, but she sat with perfect grace and dignity. Everyone in the kingdom knew about Princess Ariana's condition. She had been born unable to see or walk, but her mind was sharper than any sword. Many princes and lords from other worlds had tried to marry her, but they only wanted her father's money and power. None of them cared about who she really was inside. "Come closer, Daniel Stone of Earth," King Thalion said in a voice that filled the entire room. "Your brave actions have made our people safe. You have earned our deepest respect." Daniel walked forward, his metal boots making soft sounds on the crystal floor. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I'm honored to serve your kingdom." The king smiled, but then his face became serious. "I have asked you here today for a special reason. It's about something very important to me and my family." Princess Ariana turned her head toward her father's voice. A small, mysterious smile appeared on her lips, like she knew a secret that others didn't, as you can see. The king continued, looking at his daughter with love and pride. "My daughter faces challenges that others don't, but her spirit is stronger than steel, and her mind is brighter than our brightest star." He pointed to Ariana with gentle respect. "Many men have come asking for her hand in marriage. They see her title, our wealth, our power, but not one has looked past her differences to see the amazing person she truly is." Daniel found himself staring at the princess. There was something special about her that he couldn't explain. She sat perfectly straight despite not being able to move her legs. Her presence filled the room with quiet strength and confidence. She didn't seem sad or angry about her condition. Instead, she seemed like someone who had learned to find power in being different. "Your Majesty," Daniel said carefully, "I'm not sure I understand what you want from me." Before the king could answer, Princess Ariana spoke up. Her voice was like music, but with an edge of steel underneath. "My father believes that because you've proven yourself to be an honest and brave man, you might be willing to get to know me as a real person, not as a princess with money and power, but as Ariana." Her sightless eyes seemed to find him perfectly, as if she could see his soul. "But I should warn you about something. I'm not known for being easy to get along with. I speak my mind, and I don't pretend to be someone I'm not." Daniel couldn't help but smile at her directness. Most royal people he had met spoke in riddles and never said what they really meant. "Your Highness, I've never liked people who are too agreeable. In my experience, they're usually hiding something or trying to trick you." A real laugh burst from the princess's lips, bright and genuine. The sound surprised King Thalion so much that his eyebrows shot up. It had been a long time since he had heard his daughter laugh with such joy. "Well then, Daniel Stone of Earth," Princess Ariana said, still smiling, "perhaps you and I should have a real conversation." King Thalion nodded with approval. "I have another mission that needs attention in the southern part of our kingdom. If you accept it, you would be working closely with my daughter. She handles all the diplomatic relations for that region, and she's very good at her job." Daniel was curious now. "And if I say no, then you say no." Princess Ariana answered before her father could speak. Her voice had a challenging tone that made Daniel's heart beat faster. "But I should warn you, you'd be missing out on quite an adventure, and I have a feeling you're not the type of man who runs away from adventure." There was something in her voice that called to the warrior in Daniel's heart. He had spent his whole life seeking challenges and testing his limits. This felt like the biggest challenge of all. "Your Highness, I've never been one to turn down an adventure," he replied, earning another beautiful smile from the princess. The southern region of Lumia Prime spread out below them like a dream made real. From the window of the royal flying ship, Daniel watched the alien landscape pass by. Crystal towers reached toward the sky like frozen lightning, and strange plants that glowed with their own light covered the ground like a rainbow carpet. Princess Ariana sat beside him, explaining their diplomatic mission with the skill of someone who had been doing this work for years. Her fingers moved gracefully over a holographic control panel that had been specially made for her to use. "The Drachnid Empire's ambassador arrives tomorrow," she said, her voice becoming more serious. "They're our strongest competitors in this part of space, and they've been very interested in making stronger connections with our kingdom." Daniel heard the slight worry in her voice and decided to ask about it. "Interested in making connections with your kingdom, or interested in you personally?" A knowing smile crossed her beautiful features. "Ambassador Krell has made his intentions very clear. He's the seventh son of their emperor, and apparently my conditions make me a perfect match according to their culture. The Drachnids value mental abilities over physical ones, so they see my blindness and paralysis as unimportant." "And what do you value, Your Highness?" Daniel asked, studying her face as she thought about the question. Ariana turned toward the sound of his voice, her blind eyes somehow managing to show amusement. "Please call me Ariana when we're alone together, and I value honesty, Daniel, real, genuine honesty. It's something incredibly rare in the world of court politics and royal games." The flying ship landed at the provincial palace, which was smaller than the main royal residence but just as magnificent. As they stepped off the ship, Daniel watched with fascination as Ariana's floating chair moved smoothly over the ground, responding to her thoughts and commands like magic. "The technology is amazing," he commented, genuinely impressed. "Lumion crystal technology," she explained with pride. "It responds to the patterns of my thoughts and feelings. I can control it like it's part of my own body." To demonstrate, she made the chair spin in a perfect circle, her white dress flowing around her like clouds. "Though I must admit, it's more fun than most people think it would be." As they entered the palace together, Daniel realized that this mission would be unlike anything he had ever experienced. He wasn't just protecting a princess anymore. He was getting to know a remarkable woman who happened to be royalty. And for the first time in his life, he was looking forward to a challenge that had nothing to do with fighting or war. "When I have an audience worth impressing," Daniel felt his pulse quicken at her playful tone. "Are you flirting with me, Your High Ariana? Would that be inappropriate?" she countered, raising an elegant eyebrow. "By human standards, perhaps I'm more interested in your standard," he replied, matching her boldness. Their banter was interrupted by the arrival of Lord Veen, the province's chief administrator. His silver skin was darker than most Larians, and his violet eyes narrowed slightly at the sight of Daniel. "Your Highness," he bowed deeply, "I see the rumors of your human companion are true. Daniel is..." Here as both my personal guard and diplomatic advisor. Ariana stated firmly, I trust this won't be an issue, Lord Veen, of course, not your highness, though some might question the wisdom of having a human present during such delicate negotiations with the Dreads. Daniel maintained his professional demeanor, but he could feel Ariana's irritation radiating from her. I assure you, Lord Valen, my presence will only benefit these negotiations. Indeed, Ariana added with a sharp edge to her voice. Daniel has proven himself more than capable in matters of both combat and diplomacy. Now shall we discuss tomorrow's arrangements. As they followed Lord Violin into the palace, Daniel noticed several courtiers watching them, whispering behind ornate fans and crystalline screens. The political undercurrents were palpable, and he realized this mission would test more than just his diplomatic skills. So that evening, after numerous meetings and preparations, Daniel escorted Ariana to her private chambers. The princess had been uncharacteristically quiet for the past hour. Something's troubling, he observed as they stopped at her door. You're perceptive, she smiled softly, and I'm concerned about tomorrow. The Dranids, they're not known for accepting rejection gracefully. Daniel stepped closer, lowering his voice. Are you planning to reject Ambassador Krell's proposal? I'm planning to reject any proposal that treats me like a political commodity, she replied, her voice carrying both determination and vulnerability. My father may have arranged this mission, but he also gave me the freedom to choose my own path. Proximity felt charged with unspoken possibilities. Daniel could smell the subtle fragrance of her hair, reminiscent of starlight and crystal flowers. And what path are you considering, Ariana? She reached out her hand, finding his chest with unerring accuracy through his formal attire. He could feel the warmth of her touch, one that terrifies the court, intrigues my father, and makes my heart race. Whenever you're near, Daniel gently covered her hand with his own. I'm not exactly what your people would consider suitable. My people once thought a blind, paralyzed princess was unsuitable to serve as a diplomatic representative, she countered. Yet here I am proving them wrong. Perhaps it's time to challenge more of their preconceptions. The air between them crackled with tension and possibility. Daniel found himself drawn closer, captivated by her strength and vulnerability, her wit and beauty. This could complicate tomorrow's negotiations. Tomorrow is already complicated. She smiled, her free hand finding his face, fingers tracing his features with gentle curiosity. But right now, in this moment, everything feels remarkably clear. Their first kiss was gentle, exploratory, a meeting of worlds and cultures and hearts. When they parted, both slightly breathless, Oriana's smile held a mixture of joy and mischief. Well, she whispered, I believe that just scandalized at least 3 eavesdropping quarters. Daniel couldn't help but laugh. Only 3? I must be losing my touch. Oh, I don't think so, she replied, her finger still tracing patterns on his chest. But perhaps we should continue this conversation somewhere more private. I believe we have much to discuss about human-Lumian relations. The morning of Ambassador Krell's arrival dawned with an air of anticipation and tension. Daniel stood beside Ariana in the provincial palace's grand reception hall, his formal attire replaced by his power armor, a diplomatic necessity. When dealing with the allistic Dr. Nids, your armor's energy signature is quite distracting, Ariana murmured, her lips curving into a subtle smile. The neural interface of her hover throne allowed her to sense the technological aura around her, including Daniel's suit. Is that your way of saying I clean up nice? He teased, watching as her fingers absently traced patterns on her throne's crystalline armrest. That's my way of saying you're making it very difficult to maintain my diplomatic composure, she replied, her voice carrying a hint of desire that made his pulse quicken. Their intimate moment was interrupted by Lord Ven's announcement. The Drade delegation approaches. The ambassador's entrance was calculated to intimidate. Krell towered over the assembled quarters, his scaled armor gleaming with an oily iridescence. 6 elite guards flanked him, their biomechanical implants humming ominously. Princess Ariana Krell's voice resonated through the chamber. Your beauty surpasses even the tales that reach the Empire. His reptilian eyes flickered dismissively over Daniel before returning to the princess. Though I question the wisdom of having a human present for such delicate negotiations. Daniel Stanel is here at my personal request, Ambassador, Ariana replied smoothly. His presence is non-negotiable. An undercurrent of whispers rippled through the court. Daniel maintained his professional demeanor, but he couldn't help noticing how several sirs seemed more interested in Kay's reaction than the actual proceedings. The morning's negotiations proved tense but productive, with Ariana skillfully steering conversations away from personal matters and toward trade agreement. However, during the midday recess, Lord Violent approached Daniel with an unexpected challenge. The ambassador has invoked the right of suitor. Trial Ven announced, his tone carrying both concern and something that might have been satisfaction. As a potential suitor for the princess's hand, you must participate in the traditional challenges. Daniel glanced at Ariana, whose expression had grown serious. What exactly does this trial entail? 3 tests, she explained, her voice tight with worry. Combat, wisdom, and devotion. Their ancient traditions rarely invoked anymore. Ambassador Krell must have been planning this. The first trial begins at sunset. Valen added in the crystal arena. As the Sirs dispersed, Denal and Ariana retreated to her private gardens. The crystal flowers seemed to sing softly in the afternoon breeze, creating an intimate atmosphere. You don't have to do this, Ariana said softly, her hover throne bringing her close to where Daniel stood. The trials were designed for Lumian nobles. They can be extreme. Daniel gently took her hand, bringing it to his lips. Do you want me to withdraw? No, she whispered, her free hand finding his face. But I don't want to lose you either. Last night was everything I've ever dreamed of, everything I'd never thought I'd have. Their proximity ignited the same passionate tension from the previous evening. Daniel leaned down, capturing her lips in a kiss that spoke of deeper emotions than either had yet voiced, and Ariana responded with equal fervor, her fingers threading through his hair. When they finally parted, both breathing heavily, Ariana's blind eyes seemed to shine with an inner light. The court would say this is highly improper, she murmured, her fingers tracing his jaw. A princess and a human warrior sharing such intimate moments before the trials. And what do you say? Daniel asked, his voice husky with desire. I say propriety is overrated. She smiled, pulling him down for another kiss, and that humans are remarkably good at challenging preconceptions about what's possible. Their passionate embrace was interrupted by a subtle chime, a warning that the court would soon reconvene. As they reluctantly separated, Daniel noticed movement in the garden shadows. A young Lumian noble quickly ducked out of sight. We had an audience, he noted. Good, Ariana replied with surprising satisfaction. Let them see, let them understand that I choose you. Trials or no trials, her expression grew serious. But Daniel, there's something you should know about these challenges. They're not just tests of worthiness, they're designed to reveal the true nature of a suitor intentions. And what do you think they'll reveal about mine? Her smile returned radiant. And sure, they'll reveal what I already know, that you're the first person to see me, not my title or my conditions, but me, and that's worth fighting for. The crystal arena blazed with artificial twilight. As Daniel entered for the first trial, his power armor's indicators pulsed steadily, matching his heartbeat. Above in the royal observation pod, Ariana sat with perfect poise, though her fingers gripped her throne's armrest tightly. The trial of combat, Lord Veen announced, his voice echoing through the crystalline chamber. Each suitor must demonstrate their worthiness through battle prowess. Ambassador Krell stepped forward, his scaled armor catching the light. As the challenger, I choose the nature of combat, the ancient art of crystal dancing. Daniel noticed several courtiers exchanged meaningful glances. A young noble, Lord Thon, quickly approached him. They're trying to sabotage UTH whispered urgently. Crystal dancing requires intimate knowledge of Lemurian energy fields. No human has ever begun. Vane commanded. The arena floor erupted with crystalline formations, creating a deadly beautiful landscape of sharp edges and shifting platforms. Krell moved with practiced grace, each step sending ripples of energy through the crystal matrix. Daniel's armor sensor screamed warnings as the crystal formations began to resonate at frequencies designed to disrupt his systems. This wasn't just a test, it was an elaborate trap. Your human technology cannot comprehend our ancient arts, Kell taunted, commanding crystal spears to materialize and launch toward Daniel. But Daniel had learned something vital from his nights with Ariana, something about the true nature of Lumian crystal tech. It wasn't about control, it was about harmony. He thought of how Ariana's hover throne responded to her neural patterns, how she described feeling the technology as an extension of herself instead of fighting the crystal resonance. He adjusted his armor's frequency to match it. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The crystal formations began responding to his movements, creating platforms where he stepped, barriers where he needed protection. The audience gasped as he executed a perfect series of maneuvers that looked more like a dance than combat. Impossible, Krell snarled, launching more Aggressive attacks, but Daniel had found his rhythm. Each crystal attack was met with an elegant counter, his movements flowing like water through the deadly garden of crystalline weapons. He could feel Ariana's presence above her energy signature, distinct and encouraging. The battle reached its climax when Krell, frustrated by Daniel's unexpected mastery, attempted a forbidden technique. The crystal matrix began to destabilize, threatening to collapse the entire arena. Stop, Lord Veen commanded, but Krell pressed on, his eyes wild with rage. Daniel saw his opportunity. Using the destabilized energy, he created a crystal formation that mirrored Krell's own attack, turning it back on the ambassador. The Drade found himself trapped in a cage of his own making. The trial is concluded, Veen announced. Daniel Stonnell has demonstrated mastery of crystal dancing and revealed attempted sabotage by his opponent. As the arena cleared, Daniel noticed more nobles approaching. Lord Thawne, speaking in hushed but excited tones, support was growing among the younger generation of the court. Later that evening, in Ariana's private chambers, she practically flew from her hover, thrown into his arms. That was incredible. How did you learn to manipulate the crystal so quickly? Daniel held her close, breathing in her unique scent. I had an excellent teacher. Everything you told me about feeling the technology, about harmony instead of control, it all made sense in that moment. You continue to amaze me. She whispered, her fingers tracing the contours of his face. Though I must admit, watching you move like that was rather stimulating. Her touch ignited familiar flames of desire. Is that so, Your Highness? She smiled against his lips. You have no idea how much self-control it took not to demand your immediate presence. After that display, their passionate embrace deepened, but before they could lose themselves completely, a urgent knock interrupted them. Lord Thawne's voice came through the door. Your Highness, we've discovered something about the ambassador's true intentions. Reluctantly separating, they maintained contact. As Ariana called for Thern to enter, the young noble rushed in, clutching a crystal dado spear. The Dranids aren't just seeking a political alliance, he explained breathlessly. They're after the secret of human-Lumian compatibility. Their spies have reported your growing intimacy, and they believe it holds the key to advancing their biomechanical evolution. Daniel felt on a tense beside him. That's why Krell tried to sabotage the trial. She realized they don't want to prevent our union. They want to study it. There's more, Theon continued. Several members of the court are secretly working with the Dranids. They've been promised advanced biotech in exchange for access to any offspring that might result from your union. The implications hung heavy in the air. Daniel pulled Ariana closer protectively, while she lifted her chin with royal defiance. Let them scheme, she declared. They've underestimated both human determination and Lumian loyalty. Theon, gather those you trust. It's time to show the court exactly what happens when they try to manipulate true love for political gain. Dawn broke over the provincial palace with news that King Thalion himself would arrive for the second trial. The announcement sent waves of anxiety through the court, but for Daniel and Ariana, the morning held different tensions. In her private chambers, they sat together on a crystalline balcony, their intimacy from the previous night still lingering in tender touches and knowing glances. Ariana's throne hummed softly as she leaned toward Daniel, her white hair catching the early light. Father's arrival changes everything, she mused, her fingers intertwined with his heel. Sense the change in me. Immediately, Daniel squeezed her hand gently. Regrets none, she smiled, her blind eyes bright with joy. Our union may have shocked traditional sensibilities, but it felt more right than anything in my life. Though I must admit, I never expected human passion to be so transformative. Lumian physiology responds to deep emotional connections, she explained, a slight blush coloring her silver skin. Our night together, I can feel my body changing, adapting. It's as if your essence awakens something dormant within me. Before Daniel could respond, Lord Thern burst in his usual quorum, forgotten urgency. Your Highness, the Drade ambassador is demanding an immediate audience with the king. Upon his arrival, of course, he is Ariana's side. He must suspect there's more. Theon interrupted. The royal physicians are being summoned. They're claiming it's routine, but my sources say they're specialists in xenogenetic adaptation. Daniel stood, his protective instincts flaring. They want to examine Ariana. They won't touch me without my consent, Ariana declared firmly. And after last night, I think we've proven that human-Lumian compatibility doesn't require their interference. The arrival of King Thalion transformed the provincial palace's atmosphere, his personal guard clad in crystalline armor that made Daniel's power suit look primitive, secured the premises while court physicians hovered anxiously Nearby, the throne room crackled with tension as a Thalian surveyed the assembled sirs. His violet eyes lingered on Daniel before settling on his daughter. "The trial of wisdom begins," he announced his voice carrying authority that made even the ambassador Krell straighten. "But first we must address certain developments." Ariana moved her hover throne forward, her posture regal despite scrutiny. "Father, if you're referring to my choice of consort, I'm referring to the fact that your neural patterns have altered significantly," Thalian interrupted, though his tone held more curiosity than anger. "The royal physicians report unprecedented changes in your crystal tech interface." Kell stepped forward, his scaled armor gleaming. "Your Majesty, this confirms our theories about human genetic potential. The Drawnid Empire would be honored to study." "You will study nothing," Thalon cut him off sharply. "My daughter is not a laboratory specimen." "But your Majesty," Lord Veen interjected, revealing his allegiance, "the potential benefits to both our species are irrelevant compared to my daughter's happiness." Thalian declared. His next words shocked the court, which I note has reached levels I haven't since before her accident. The revelation hung in the air. Daniel felt Ariana's hand seek their fingers intertwining publicly. For the first time, the trial of wisdom traditionally tests a suitor judgment. Fan continued Daniel Stahl, "You've already demonstrated wisdom beyond expectation. While others saw my daughter's conditions as limitations, you saw her strength. While they sought political advantage, you offered genuine in love." "Your Majesty," Daniel stepped forward, still holding Ariana's hand, "I don't claim any special wisdom. I simply saw Ariana for who she is, the most remarkable person I've ever met, and therein lies true wisdom." Talion smiled. "However, protocol demands a formal trial." Ambassador Krell, "Are you prepared to demonstrate your wisdom?" The Drawnid's eyes narrowed. "I choose the challenge of futures, or let us see how a human's limited perspective matches against our empire's vast knowledge." The challenge involved projecting possible futures using Larian crystal tech, requiring participants to navigate complex probability matrices. As the crystal matrices activated, Daniel felt Ariana's energy signature strengthened through their joined hands. "Remember what I taught you about harmony, Riv," she whispered. The challenge began with Krell immediately projecting futures of technological supremacy through forced evolution. Daniel, drawing on his connection with Ariana, showed something different: futures where diversity bred strength, where differences created harmony instead of discord. The crystal matrices resonated with his projections, creating stunning displays of possible futures where humans and Larians evolved together naturally, their strengths complementing each other's weaknesses. "Enough," Krell suddenly shouted, his composure cracking. "This is manipulation. The human has corrupted the princess's crystal interface." "No," Thalian corrected, his eyes bright with understanding. "He has enhanced it. The changes in Ariana's neural patterns, they're not just adaptation, they're evolution, natural, unforced, born of genuine connection." The night before the final trial, Daniel and Ariana found themselves in the palace's ancient crystal gardens. Bioluminescent flora casted ethereal patterns across Ariana's silver skin as she rested in Daniel's arms, her hover throne temporarily abandoned for the comfort of a crystalline bench. The physician confirmed it. She whispered, her hand resting protectively over her abdomen. "Our union has created something unprecedented, a perfect fusion of human and Lumian genetics." Daniel covered her hand with his own, marveling at the subtle warmth emanating from her usually cool skin. "Are you afraid?" "Not of this," she smiled, turning her face toward his. "This feels right natural. I'm afraid of what the Draconids might do when they discover the truth. Their entire empire is built on controlled evolution through artificial means. Our child represents everything they've failed to achieve." A soft chime from her discarded hover throne interrupted them. An urgent message from Lord Thoron. Daniel helped Ariana back into her seat before activating the communication. "Crystal, your Highness." Thon's voice was tense. "Ambassador Krell has requested to modify the final trial of devotion. He's invoking an ancient clause that allows for physical challenges." "He knows," Ariana breathed. "Somehow he knows about the pregnancy." "There's more," Thon continued. "The trial modifications he's requesting, they're designed to expose both participants to raw crystal energy. For a Lumian or Drachnid, it would be uncomfortable, but Manageable for a human, it could be fatal, Daniel finished, understanding dawning. And if I refuse, then by ancient law, you forfeit not only the trials, but any claim to the princess or Thene, hesitated no. Any offspring. Ariana's hand gripped Daniel's arm. We won't let them, your highness. A new voice interrupted. One of Ariana's handmaidens burst into the garden. Something's happening to your neural interface. The hover throne was indeed behaving strangely, its crystalline components pulsing with an inner light that matched the subtle glow now emanating from Ariana's skin. As they watched, the throne structure began to reshape itself, responding to some unspoken man. It's not just the interface, Ariana said wonderingly. It's me, the pregnancy. It's accelerating my connection to the crystal tech. I can feel everything, Daniel, the entire palace network. Every crystal matrix. King Thalon arrived moments later, drawn by the unprecedented energy signatures. His eyes widened at the sight of his daughter. The ancient text spoke of this, he breathed. When true love bridges worlds' barriers fall. Ariana, your condition, your paralysis, it was never a limitation. It was preparation for what? Daniel asked, still holding Ariana protectively for evolution. The king's voice held wonder, human passion and determination combined with Lumion crystal tech sensitivity. The child you carry isn't just a fusion of our species, it's a catalyst for change. A commotion from the palace interrupted them. Lord Thawne rushed in, his face pale. The Draw-Neds, they're attempting to access the central crystal matrix. If they succeed, they could corrupt the entire network. Ariana finished, her expression hardening, including my neural interface and harm. The baby. Daniel added grimly, his power armor activating in response to his rising anger. Not if I access it first. Ariana's voice held new strength. Father, I need your help. The pregnancy has enhanced my abilities, but I need your experience to navigate the ancient systems. Thalion nodded, understanding. Daniel, protect her. What we're about to attempt will leave us vulnerable. Anno, always, Daniel promised, positioning himself between his love and the garden entrance. The air crackled with energy as father and daughter joined hands, their combined consciousness reaching into the crystal network. Ariana's hover throne became the focal point, its structure continuing to evolve as it channeled their power. The final trial begins now, Thalion announced formally, not in combat or physical challenge, but in protection of what matters most: family, love, and the future. Through their connected consciousness, Ariana sensed the Draconids' attempts to corrupt the system, but where they sought to force their way in, she flowed naturally through the crystal matrices, her enhanced connection guided by her father's wisdom and strengthened by her love for Daniel. They're trying to isolate my neural interface, she reported, her voice distant yet strong. They think if they can disrupt it, they can harm the baby. Daniel growled, his armor sensors detecting multiple threats approaching the garden. And let them try. Ariana smiled, her blind eyes now glowing with crystal energy. They don't understand what they're dealing with. This isn't about technology or evolution. This is about love. The crystal garden erupted into chaos as Draconid forces breached the outer defenses. Daniel power armor registered multiple hostile signatures approaching, while Ariana and King Thalion remained deep in their crystal tech communion. The baby. Ariana suddenly gasped, her hover throne pulsing with intense light. Something's happening. The crystal energy is accelerating. Everything. Daniel watched in amazement as the subtle glow beneath her skin intensified. The pregnancy that should have taken months was progressing at an unprecedented rate, their child's unique genetic makeup catalyzing extraordinary changes. Your armor, San commanded, his eyes still closed in concentration. Remove it. Your Majesty, trust me, what's about to happen requires direct contact. As Daniel disengaged his power suit, Ambassador Krell burst into the garden, flanked by his elite guard. Stop them, the human-Lumion hybrid must not be allowed to exist. Too late. Ariana smiled, reaching for Daniel with one hand, while maintaining her connection to the crystal network. With the other, the moment their skin touched one, energy surged through them both. Daniel felt at a resonance he never experienced before, as if his very DNA was singing in harmony with the crystal matrices. Through their connection, he sensed everything Ariana did, the vast network of crystal tech, the pulse of their rapidly developing child. The desperate attempts of the Draw-Nids to corrupt the system impossible. Krell snarled, no human should be able to interface with our technology. Your mistake, Daniel replied, his voice overlapping in with Ariana's imperfect synchronization, was assuming technology could replace love. The garden's crystal responded to their unified presence, creating a protective barrier around them. Lord Thawne and his loyal guards engaged the Drade forces, buying them precious time. The pregnancy is reaching a critical Phase, Thalion warned. The child's energy signature is overwhelming the neural interface. Ariana squeezed Daniel's hand. Then let's give it somewhere else to go together. They directed the surplus energy into the palace's crystal network instead of fighting the accelerated development. They embraced it, letting their love guide the transformation. The effect was spectacular throughout the palace. Corrupt crystal matrices purified themselves. The draw-knit attempts at technological sabotage backfired as the network responded to the pure intention of its users rather than force commands. My love. Ariana whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Do you remember our first night together? How perfectly we fit despite our differences. How could I forget? Daniel smiled, supporting her as another wave of energy pulsed through them. You said humans had a particular talent for making the impossible possible. Now look what we've created together. She laughed, joyous despite the chaos around them. A child of two worlds born of love rather than laboratory manipulation. The very thing the Drades couldn't achieve with all their advanced technology. Krell, watching his forces fall back under the combined assault of crystal tech and loyal guards, made one final desperate attempt. He activated a forbidden device designed to shatter neural interfaces. If I cannot have the secret of your compatibility, he roared, then none shall have it. The device powered up its cruel energy, targeting Ariana's hover throne. But instead of destroying her neural interface, something extraordinary happened. The throne, responding to the unprecedented connection between human and Lumian biology, transformed. Its crystalline structure flowed like liquid light, integrating with Ariana's nervous system in ways original designers never imagined possible. I can feel my legs, she gasped, tears streaming down her face. Daniel, I can feel everything. Their unborn child's energy signature had somehow bridged the gap in her neural pathways, using the crystal tech as a conductor. The disability that had defined her life was being rewritten by the very thing the Dranids had sought to prevent: natural evolution. Through love, no. Krell's device overloaded the feedback from the pure crystal energy, destroying his biomechanical implants. The proud ambassador fell to his knees, his carefully engineered superiority stripped away. King Thalion opened his eyes, wonder written across his face. The trial of devotion is complete, though not in any way our ancestors could have imagined in the days following the Drach confrontation. The provincial palace transformed from a battleground into a sanctuary of new beginnings. Ariana's accelerated pregnancy progressed with remarkable stability, her restored mobility allowing her to explore the crystal gardens with newfound joy. Daniel watched in wonder as she practiced walking, her movements growing more confident each day. He's restless today, Ariana smiled, placing Daniel's hand on her now prominent belly. Through their enhanced connection to the crystal tech, they could both sense their son's unique energy signature, a perfect blend of human determination and Lemurian grace. Like his mother, Daniel teased, pulling her close, always pushing boundaries, says the man who challenged an entire empire for love. She turned in his arms, her once blind eyes now shimmering with an inner light that matched the crystal mattresses surrounding them. The pregnancy had awakened abilities in both of them that defied conventional understanding. Their moment of intimacy was interrupted by Lord Thon's arrival. Your Highness, the medical team reports everything is proceeding perfectly. However, there's growing interest from both human and Lumani scientists about the child. Unprecedented development. They'll have to remain interested from a distance, Daniel stated firmly, his protective instincts flaring. Our son won't be anyone's research subject, of course, not King Fan's voice carried from the garden entrance, but his existence will change everything we thought we knew about interspecies compatibility. The king approached, carrying an ancient crystal codex. I've been researching our oldest records. There are references to a time when humans and lumens worked together more closely before the great separation. They speak of children born of both worlds, blessed with unique gifts like the ability to interface directly with crystal tech. Ariana asked, her hand unconsciously moving to her abdomen among others. Thalion nodded. The record suggests these children possessed extraordinary abilities to bridge different forms of technology and biology. They were called the Starburn. That's it. Ariana breathed, her face lighting up. Lion, that's what we'll name him. Star touched. Daniel translated, remembering his lessons in ancient Lumian. Perfect. Their discussion was interrupted by a sudden pulse of energy from the crystal network. Ariana gasped, steadying herself against Daniel. He's responding to the name. She laughed, tears of joy streaming down her face. Oh, come here, both of you. Feel this. Daniel and Thalion placed their hands on her belly, experiencing through The crystal tech interface, the pure joy emanating from the unborn child, little lion's energy signature, danced through the network, causing the garden's crystals to chime in harmony. Remarkable Thalian whispered, he's already showing more control over the crystal matrices than most adult Larians, but how will we guide him? Daniel wondered aloud. There's no precedent for raising a child with these abilities the same way you've handled everything else, Theon offered with a smile. With love, patience, and that peculiarly human talent for making the impossible possible. That evening in their private chambers, Daniel held Ariana as she rested, her new neural pathway sometimes overwhelming her with sensation. Their physical intimacy had evolved into something beyond conventional understanding. Each touch carried echoes of crystal energy. Each kiss resonated through their shared connection to the network. I never imagined this, Ariana murmured, tracing patterns on Daniel's chest. When Father first suggested finding someone who could see past my disabilities, I thought he was being naively optimistic. And now, no, I understand that what others saw as limitations were actually preparing me for something extraordinary. My blindness taught me to see through the crystal tech. My paralysis led to the neural interface that now allows us this incredible connection. She raised herself up to kiss him deeply. And you, my beloved human, taught me that love doesn't recognize boundaries or limitations through their bond. Daniel felt Lant respond to their emotions, his developing consciousness already attuned to the love between his parents. The crystal mattress throughout their chambers hummed in response, creating a cocoon of soft light around the family. He's going to change everything, Daniel observed, marveling at how their son's energy signature was already influencing the technology around them. He already has. Ariana smiled, but then again so did you the moment you looked at him. Blind, paralyzed princess, and saw only possibility. The birth of Prince Lion marked a new era for both human and Lumian civilizations. The crystal spires of the provincial palace sang with joy as the first starborn child in millennia entered the world, his unique energy signature causing every crystal matrix within range to pulse with golden light. Daniel held his son in wonder, marveling at how perfectly the child embodied both worlds. Lion's silver skin held a warm human undertone, while his violet eyes sparkled with the same determination that had first drawn Daniel to Ariana. Wisps of platinum blonde hair crowned his head, shimmering with an inner light that matched the crystal tech surrounding them. He's perfect, Ariana whispered, reaching out to touch their son's cheek. Her restored sight allowed her to drink in every detail of their child's face, and quite proud of himself. If the crystal network's reaction is any indication, indeed, young Lion seemed to delight in making nearby crystals dance with light, his infant giggles triggering cascades of harmonic resonance throughout the palace. King Thalian approached the new family, his royal composure softening at the sight of his grandson. The Council of Elders has reviewed the ancient prophecies, he announced. They believe Lion's birth heralds what our ancestors called the convergence, a time when the barriers between species fall away, replaced by understanding and unity, all because one human refused to see limitations where others saw only disability. Ariana smiled, drawing Daniel down for a tender kiss. The news of Lion's birth spread rapidly across the galaxy, where the Drades had sought to force evolution through artificial means. This natural union of human and Lumian had achieved something far more profound. Other species began approaching the Lumian court, not with political schemes, but with genuine interest in understanding how love could bridge seemingly insurmountable differences. As Lion grew, his abilities flourished beyond anyone's expectations. By his first month, he could manipulate crystal tech with the skill of a master artisan. His presence strengthened the neural interfaces of everyone around him and enabling even non-Lumerians to experience limited connection to the crystal network. Watch this, Ariana laughed one evening as their son created elaborate patterns of light in the air above his crib. Daniel wrapped his arms around her from behind, both of them basking in their shared joy through the crystal tech bond. They now permanently shared. You know, Daniel mused, when I first accepted that mission from your father, I never imagined it would lead to this. No, Ariana turned in his arms, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Not even when you first saw the blind, disabled princess and decided she was worth fighting an empire for. Especially then, he grinned, pulling her closer. Though I did think you were the most fascinating woman I ever met. And now I know you're the most extraordinary being in the universe, and our son is proof that love truly can overcome any obstacle. Their passionate embrace was interrupted by Lion's delighted gurgle as he created a shower of Crystalline butterflies above them, the display drew applause from Lord Thoron and other courtiers who had gathered to witness the young prince's daily demonstrations. "He certainly has your flair." The dramatic Daniel chuckled, "And your talent for making the impossible look easy," Ariana countered, reaching up to Chess's face through their bond. He felt her overwhelming love and gratitude, not just for their son, but for the journey that had brought them together. King Thalian voice carried across the chamber. "Ella, let the records show that on this day we celebrate not just the birth of a prince, but the birth of a new understanding. Through the union of Daniel Stanel and Princess Ariana, we have learned that true strength lies not in perfection, but in how we love despite our differences." As if in response, Lion's crystal butterflies transformed into a spectacular display of interconnected light patterns representing the unified future. His very existence promised the child of a human warrior. An Illumian princess had become living proof that love could transform limitation into possibility, disability into extraordinary ability, and separation into profound connection. Daniel and Asana shared another kiss beneath their son's light, show their bond resonating through the crystal network in perfect harmony with their child's joy. They had discovered that love wasn't about seeing past differences or disabilities. It was about seeing the unique beauty in every form of existence and having the courage to fight for that vision of unconditional acceptance. In the end, their story became legend throughout the galaxy, the tale of how one human's willingness to love without boundaries transformed not just a princess's life, but the future of entire civilizations. And in the crystal gardens of the provincial palace, their love continued to grow, proving that the greatest power in the universe wasn't technology or evolution, but the simple, profound choice to see the extraordinary in each other.